this is Data, and welcome to the TNA Post Show. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the one and only and the star of the show, Burt Maclin.
How's it going?
It's going good, just recovering from the flu or the cold here. I'm at the tail end of it.
Yeah, I know how that is. I was sick a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was brutal.
For sure. We got Joe. Hey, Joe. And Claudius Bennett. Hey.
What's going on?
All right. So we have quite a few things to talk about, but let's start with talking about Moose because there was quite a discourse on Twitter about what occurred during Moose's segment here. Apparently, some people don't watch or pay attention. Tell me you don't watch TNA without telling me you don't watch TNA.
For sure.
Hashtag TNA Twitter always tries to find some negative thing here, and it's really annoying.
Also, haven't heels done this in all of wrestling, teasing a retirement or teasing you know what I mean, or even throwing down a belt or obviously if anybody believed that, yeah, I would even go one step further and say that you don't watch wrestling.
Exactly. So Moose comes out and he talks about how Ace Austin, how he's going to beat the living hell out of Ace Austin. And he talks about how this is the last time he wants this piece of crap, in referencing to the X Division title, associated with him. And he hands Lish the title and orders her to throw it out of the ring. Of course, people what? He's retiring the X Division title? Oh my God. No, if you paid attention, you finished watching the segment, you would know that's not what's happening here. He says, and I think this is the part that a lot of people miss, that he will be debuting a new title fit for the face of the franchise. So he's still the X Division champion. The X Division title is not going anywhere. Just that version of the X Division title has been retired by Moose. I'm sure we will see it again once Moose loses that X Division title.
Well, first of all, because I had forgotten people talking about this a few weeks ago, just because obviously it's a tape show and people were reacting about it. But as soon as he started talking, I was my brain went to oh, is he using option C? You know what I mean? Because that's where he doesn't, and then that's where my brain went. Just because he's oh, I don't want to be associated with this title anymore. You know what I mean? So I thought he was so that's what I thought. But the second, I think this is just him. We've seen champions do this before. They get a custom belt when they're champion. Sometimes on their own. I think everyone remembers that horrendous Jeff Hardy belt that he had in TNA. But I don't think this belt's retired. I just think that he's not going to use it while he's champion.
Exactly. I mean, hello. I mean, I know he's not in TNA, but John Cena had one of the best custom titles of all time. So
yeah. The spinner belt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why people saw this and thought, oh my God, Moose is retiring the title. Did people not watch? Did they not pay attention? He literally said he's debuting a new X Division title at Genesis.
Yeah, I think people just have selective hearing. They hear what they want to hear when it comes to TNA. There's,
Exactly. So anywho, he gets interrupted by Andrew Everett. And Andrew Everett brings up the fact that because Moose just retired the X Division title, or this version of the X Division title, is exactly why he doesn't belong in the X Division. He says that for the 3 years that he was in TNA, the X Division and the title itself were the only things he cared about. And he was never given a chance for the title. And of course, Moose is he's scratching his head. And he even asked Lish who the hell this idiot is. And Lish is I don't know who this is. But basically he attacks him and he gives him an X Division title match. And he asks for a ref. So this leads into an X Division title match, which was Moose made quick work of Andrew Everett here. And Moose successfully retained, and Ace Austin was watching backstage. So obviously he's sending Ace Austin a message here.
I thought the bigger crime of this segment was Andrew Everett's gear. That was terrible. But, I don't know why that bothered me, but I popped for Andrew Everett just because I thought he's one of those guys that really fit TNA when he was there. I believe when he was there, I think he was teaming a lot with Trevor Lee, not Trevor. I mean Cameron. Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes, Trevor Lee.
Yeah, okay. I forgot. I didn't think I couldn't remember if that was what his name was, but yeah, and they were really good as a team. I think Shane Helms was their manager. Like I really Andrew Everett's just a guy who I think fits the X Division. I really like this promo too. I think that was the best promo I've heard him cut in TNA. So hopefully this isn't a one-off.
Maybe it might lead to the return of Trevor Lee.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to wait and see. But anywho, that was a great segment by Moose.
Yeah.
And obviously he was not going to lose that X Division title.
Dude, that powerbomb spot on the apron was brutal. And then he hit him with another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nasty looking.
It was a nasty landing. Hope he's okay. All right. So tonight's TNA Impact kicked off with the 6-man tag match. It was the System versus Eric Young, Steve Maclin, and Jonathan Gresham. Atlanta's own Jonathan Gresham, I might add. I thought this was a good match. Steve Maclin got the victory for his team with the KIA to JDC. And at the end, the System attacked Eric Young, Steve Maclin, and Jonathan Gresham. Now, the System did to Jonathan Gresham what they did to Jeff Hardy. They put a chair around his neck and they threw him into the ring post. So I wonder if this is TNA's way of writing out Jonathan Gresham.
I thought that same thing just because I don't know anything about his contract status or anything like that, but I could have remembered. I don't know much about it, but I thought I remember at some point hearing that it was up soon or. So, yeah, I thought the same thing as you.
Yeah, I think it expires in January. I mean, it makes sense. If Grace is leaving, he would want to leave with her. So, if this is their way of writing him off.
I think and I really like the match too. I think JDC and Brian Myers and obviously Eddie Edwards, who, in my opinion, the first ballot TNA Hall of Famer. Brian Myers and JDC are just so solid. You know what I mean? Like any roster would be lucky to have them on it, just in some role. You know that what you're going to get in the ring, and then I thought the bigger development was the promo that Steve Maclin and Eric Young cut after.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about them when we get there. So next we get a Joe Hendry video package. I actually really like this video package for a number of reasons. Number one, a TNA stepping up their game here with these video packages. I have to say, massive improvement. Number two, because it details Joe Hendry's life and his career, and I feel like it's just gonna work to get people behind Joe Hendry because, and we'll get more into this next week when we get into predictions for TNA Genesis. I still think we're getting a heel Nick Nemeth at TNA Genesis, and Joe Hendry's gonna get screwed. And I feel like having stuff like this video package, it just makes him more sympathetic and it gets more people behind him. So when he does win the big one, everyone is happy and like people don't complain when he gets screwed again by Nick Nemeth at Genesis.
Yeah, that's why he was always over. They haven't done anything like this where he like kind of like told the fans like where he came from and how he came up. So yeah, I agree with you on that. But yeah, obviously, I'm assuming Nick Nemeth is, the Nemeth brothers are turning heel. Especially, we'll talk about it, but that it was showing a lot through that match in the main event. So yeah,
we'll get more into that in the main event. So next we get a Xia Brookside promo, and she's talking. Well, it seems like she's supposed to face Savannah Evans, but she's talking about how at Turning Point she nearly had Savannah Evans beat. She even plays the video, and she says that she's not. She accuses Savannah Evans of injuring her, and she's not medically cleared. But she says somebody else is ready and wants to revenge on Savannah Evans. This leads into Savannah Evans versus Li Ying. Now, I had no idea Li Ying was injured. I don't remember reading any reports that she was injured, but this was a really good match. I have to say both Savannah Evans and Li Ying looked really great out there, and I'm really excited about Li Ying's future. I mean, this is only her second, third match in TNA.
Yeah.
And she already looks like a star. Like TNA is utilizing her the way she should be. And I definitely do think she will be a Knockouts champion.
Well, all three of these deserve. I mean, all three of these, I hope, all three of these women, I hope, get pushes in 2025. And really, the thing I kept thinking about is no one is it's rare when you sign any company signs especially in TNA's case a superstar from day one, but and no one, and furthermore, no one starts out as a superstar on day one, or you know what I mean. So these people, these three, any one of them could be the next top knockout in the division. So yeah, and I think all three of them are capable of that.
Definitely. I'm so excited to see what Ying accomplishes in TNA. I cannot wait. She's definitely got a bright future, as well as Savannah Evans and Xia Brookside.
Yeah.
All right. So next we get a quick Jordynne Grace interview. She's basically calling out Tessa Blanchard, saying that they should fight, and she calls her she says the B word. I don't know if I could curse. I don't want to get demonetized here, and tells her to meet her in the ring.
Yeah. I like the way you put it. Definitely.
It's a 5-letter word that rhymes with witch.
Yes.
But this was good. I really like the intensity that Jordynne showed here.
Yes. I like this.
All right. So afterwards we get this Rosemary Masha weird segment. It's like Rosemary playing mind games with Masha. So obviously Rosemary made her attention zones, and we'll talk more about that later when we get into what kind of match they're gonna have.
To me, this was, except for Raven being there, this was a pretty typical Rosemary kind of segment. I don't know. I would just rather see somebody else be getting a title shot at this point besides Rosemary. You know what I mean? I just think they need to start building some other people. And like we were just talking about, they have people to do that.
They will. He was just gonna get through the first feud,
Mm-hmm. But it just just real quick, because to me, what that tells me is that they're saying that that's the biggest match they can give us at that point, and I think that should be a sign to them that they need to do something. And obviously they will, but you know what I mean. They need more than one other. You know what I mean. It shouldn't be that there's only one person they can give you a top match. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, they gotta reboot the knockout division. They're working on it. Like I said, like we mentioned, Ying Lee, Savannah Evans, Xia Brookside, they'll get there.
Well, but that's my point. It was never a lack of depth in the main event. It was a lack of build. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just didn't seem like they're building it. They weren't building anyone. They were only building a few people when they should be building a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it takes time.
All right. So next we get the Northern Armory Gauntlet match. Obviously, Santana had to face all three members of the Northern Armory tonight. Now, this was really interesting. I suspected that the Northern Armory was laying a trap for Santana, and I was right, because he gets to Judas Icarus and he gets to Travis Williams, but then Judas Icarus causes a DQ, and so the match between him and Josh Alexander does not happen. Instead, the Northern Armory attack him. Josh gets his headgear back and he hits him with the C4 spike. So we find out that at Genesis, it's going to be Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana. So I cannot wait for that match. I cannot wait.
I think, yeah, definitely. I think that should be, I would think that'd be most likely the match of the night. I think that the booking of this match tonight was very, very, it was very predictable. I didn't think he was going to run through the whole Northern Armory. And I don't think he was going to pin Josh tonight. So yeah, I really like this. It makes me sad because it just seems like I really hope that we're not left with them just not having a proper send off for this faction ending, because Josh is not going to be here for long unless he does resign. You know what I mean? So I hope that this faction continues in some way if Josh leaves.
I keep saying, and this is just me fantasy booking, have Eric Young turn on Steve Maclin, join the Northern Armory, and then have the Northern Armory turn on Josh Alexander, attack him, and then that's how you write him off. And that way,
See, I don't
where the
want.
Armory can continue with Eric Young as the leader, because Sinner and Saint by themselves, you're a good tag team, but I feel like they're gonna get lost in the tag team division, you know, and having them be in this faction is actually really good for them.
See, I don't want that, especially after the promo that we heard from Eric Young and Steve Maclin. And especially, I would rather them go with somebody, younger, especially since, Sinner and State are still young as well, I believe. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want automatically like a veteran sliding in there as a leader. I don't know. I think that'd be moving.
Well, Sinner and Saint team with Angels, right? Alan Angels
Yeah,
on the Indies, so maybe you could put in Alan Angels, even though
that I would
you
like.
might have to
See, I would
change the
like
name
that.
because he's not Canadian.
Yes, I would like that.
Okay, so next we're gonna person your concierge segment here, and he's talking about how they're gonna have a pre-launch championship celebration by Elegance, because according to him, Heather and Ash are the next knockout tag team champions. He's not wrong. I do agree with him. They definitely are winning those tag belts.
Yes.
And this was a good segment, honestly. Well, I mean, I liked it because he's just so good at what he does.
Yes, yeah, and I do agree with you as well. I think they are going to win the champion. I think it's time, and I don't necessarily want to see Spitfire break up, but I definitely see Danny Luna as a future Knockouts World Champion. So if they do go that route, like splitting them up, obviously I don't want that for right now because they'll be the only other team. But yeah, I definitely think it's a foregone conclusion that Elegant Square is winning.
Elegant score. That's funny. Yeah, I think they're definitely winning. So we get a Rosemary segment, and this one, she's joined by Raven, and Raven's kind of like questioning her if she's ready to be champion again, because it's been, 6-7 years she last held the title. It's going to be Masha versus Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. That should be interesting.
Yeah, for some reason I thought the segment was earlier. I definitely see Masha winning, and I think it's obviously this is going to be a hard, by the name, this should be a hardcore. It's obviously a hardcore match. It's probably going to get pretty violent. Masha should win, and let's start building some other people because I don't expect Masha to lose, nor should she.
Same. I don't expect her to lose either, so she's definitely going to win. All right, so next we get a John Skyler promo, and he said that they don't have that, like, the ATL doesn't have a lot to cheer for because their sports teams suck. I don't know anything about sports, so I can't say if John Skyler is right or wrong there. If anybody is familiar with Atlanta sports, let me know.
The Braves did okay in baseball. I think they missed. I think they made the playoffs, lost in the first round. The Falcons, they started out good, and they kind of And then I'm not sure of the Hawks record right now. I'm not going to check it, but he was going pretty hard on the fans. Said they would lose in a scrimmage, I believe is what he said. But again, you talk about it all the time, and I saw your tweet. I agree with you. They should win the titles at some point, even if it's like a short run. They deserve a run. I think Skyler's one of the best promos on the show, and their merch is good. Their name makes sense. I don't know what more they could do.
So this leads into the Rascalz versus the Good Hands, and I thought this was a really good match. Like I said in my tweet, the Good Hands are so underrated. They're a really great tag team, but they're really good at what they do, at their role of being the heels, but I hate the fact that sometimes they're relegated to just being lackeys, even if it's just a short month title, and like have a win at Sacrifice, you drop it at No Surrender type thing, like they should have at least a small run with the tag titles, like reward them. They job out so much that. It just saddens me because they're such a great tag team. Like Jason Hodge by himself is wonderful. John Skyler is not bad either. And them together, yeah, they're a good tag team. And I just wish that they would be a little bit more appreciated here.
At least they make him look good. Like that move that they did when like he caught his feet on the ropes and then he slid and drop kicked him. Like that was pretty dope. Like it's not like they make him like get squashed out there. But yeah, I agree. There should be other teams that like, because you could argue like they should be above Sitter and Saint right now. Like it just in terms of like, you know what I mean? Because Sitter and Saint just got there. There's like they really don't do much. You know, they're more of like Josh Alexander's backup. You know what I mean? I agree with you. Because yeah, it's not like the good hands suck either. They're very good.
Yeah, they are. They're very good at what they do.
Like
Right.
and he was getting legit heat out there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like. Yeah, I don't know what more you want. What people want.
Right. All right, next we get a Frankie Kazarian segment. He basically approaches Rhino and says that he might be ready if he sees Rhino gore Nemeth. Obviously, we know Frankie Kazarian is a call your shot winner, so he call his shot whenever he wants.
He also called the older Rhino kid, which was very funny. Kazarian is such a douchey heel, which, you know, that's the best kind. So
I like Kazarian and the King of TNA gimmick. All right, we get a Steve Maclin and Eric Young segment, and they're basically talking about Jonathan Gresham and about how like the system wanted to end their career. They're interrupted by First Class. Now, First Class makes it known that they want not only the singles gold but tag team gold, and if they have to step through them to get to that, they will. Now, Maclin does not take the fact that AJ Francis is making a joke out of this because he says this is not a joke. So, and then they're gonna go talk to Santino Marella to make the match. So I'm actually looking forward to this. This is actually going to be a really good match.
Casey Navarro is the other great kind of heel. He's very annoying and loud. Casey Navarro shied in this segment, but I was surprised you didn't talk. It sounded like didn't Eric Young almost refer to them like call himself like the Renegade? Like I think they teased a faction, like when they were cutting their promo. It seemed like he said a name. If the chat can help us out, I think he said the Renegade or the Renegades. Like I think that that's gonna be a team going forward as well. So I don't see Eric Young turning.
Okay, that was just me fantasy booking, but hey, I don't mind him teaming with Steve Maclin. All right, so after this is when we get the Moose segment, which we already talked about at the beginning. If you want to check that out, you guys feel free to rewind. We get a Sami Callihan segment, and Sami's basically making his case to Santino Marella, saying that they feel shafted here, and he basically wants to face whoever wins between the Hardys and the Rascalz. Now, Santino Marella, I believe he calls them dead meat. I think. Does he call them dead meat? He calls them something. And Sami Callihan, that's not our name. But they have to beat the Hardys in a non-title match to be added to the tag match at Genesis. So I kind of feel like this is where Jake something and Hammerstone would have been had Hammerstone not gotten injured.
And what is the match now? It's the Hardys versus who?
No, it's still the Hardys versus the Rascalz at TNA Genesis. It's the Hardys versus PCO and Sami Callihan next week in a non-title match. If PCO and Sami Callihan win, they'll be added to the match at TNA Genesis.
Okay. I just PCO, but I'm not going to get into it. But that's fine. TNA's tag division is very loaded right now. It's another team, but I like Sami and PCO as a tag team, but again, PCO has a title as well.
I like Sami Callihan and PCO as a tag team. That's not my issue. My issue is the fact that PCO is digital media champion and he hasn't defended that belt in God knows how long. I can't even remember the last time he defended the belt. Yeah, that's how long it's been since he defended that belt. They gotta get that belt off of PCO and they actually gotta do something with it. I'm so sick and tired of having to bring this up week after week after week, but it's the truth. Like, just get rid of the digital media title belt if you're not gonna do anything with it. Or at least, you know what they should do? If it's not a concern for the guys, they should give it back to knockouts. Jordynne Grace was the first and only female knockout to be digital media champion. They could give it to the knockouts, and they can do something with the knockouts, with the digital media title.
Rule? Huh? It's like there's no 30-day rule. Like, I'm surprised Santino didn't bring it up.
Lish was almost stripped of the knockouts tag titles because she was not able to defend. And over here, PCO has not gotten stripped of the digital media title. Like, I'm sorry,
sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying, and you saying that too. I don't know why no one said that in the back. That would have been a perfect storyline for like someone in the system to bring up Alicia. You know what I mean? Having her belt almost stripped to that lead into a storyline where someone in the system gets a match with PCO for the belt. You know what I mean? Because that's a good point. I always forget that.
They should have given the digital media title to JDC when the entire system had the gold.
That's a good point as well.
You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're doing with the digital media title. It should be called the Forgotten title since TNA seems to forget about it most of the time. I keep saying this and I say it over and over and over again. You could do something with it on Explosion.
I'm pretty sure I also saw that PCO is going to be competing at a GCW show on the same day as Genesis.
So I guess that means they're not losing. I guess that means Sami Callihan and PCO aren't winning next week.
But just more of the fact that he should be at TNA defending that belt. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's defending at GCW, but it's dumb.
It is. You know what? I'm. If we keep talking about PCO, I'm going to be here all night ranting about the title. Let's just move on to the next segment, which was a Jordynne Grace segment. She met Tessa Blanchard in the ring, and she basically called her out and gave her the opportunity to fight like a woman. And Tessa comes out and attacks Jordynne Grace, and basically a brawl breaks out between them, and security and officials attempt to separate them. At TNA Genesis, it will be Jordynne Grace versus Tessa Blanchard. I actually really like the build between Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard. I guess because there's so much history between them that even though this feud has been kind of somewhat short, there's like it's been a really good build.
I think Tessa has to win at Genesis, and then I would think maybe, because I know that's technically her last date, but I would maybe sign her for like a date and then maybe have her lose to Tessa on if that's what they want to do. But I wouldn't have Jordynne lose this feud just because it kind of just makes her look weak the whole time. You know what I mean? Because she got dragged out by Tessa last week. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think, and I don't know how long Tessa's going to be there, but I would think that she's going to be there longer than Jordynne's going to be there. So giving Jordynne a win, I don't think hurts anything.
I agree. I think Jordynne Grace should go over Tessa Blanchard, especially if they're sending her off in her home state of Texas. Yeah. I still don't know. I don't think there's any type of confirmation to know how long Tessa Blanchard's going to be in TNA for, though. I haven't read anything. All right. Last but certainly not least, we had a tag team match. It's Rhino and Hendry versus the Nemeth brothers. Remember, this came about because last week, Ryan Nemeth chair shot it, Rhino, and then, Santino made the match. Now, I have to say, this was an interesting match because Ryan Nemeth is very obviously a heel here, and Nick Nemeth is a face. However, I caught something. I don't know if you caught it, or I don't know if anybody else caught it, if anybody else was paying attention, but I thought this was interesting. I don't know if it was intentional or was an accident, but so there's this part where it's Rhino and Nick in the ring, and Rhino, I think he uppercuts Nick Nemeth, and Nick Nemeth, he's distracting the referee, and Ryan cheap shots Rhino. He grabs him by the hair. And Nemeth, handing him an Oscar, looks so surprised to see that Rhino's got taken out. I don't know. But if you ask me, small seeds of a heel turn is coming for Nick Nemeth.
I could just also see a situation where like Ryan Nemeth does something and Nick Nemeth on the spot is just kind of like forced to like, obviously it could look like he's coming to his brother, but then the heel turn happens right there. It's all been a plan. You know what I mean? Just because, I think they have to turn Nick heel, and it just makes me even, at least it's something now, because like it's, even if like I don't know, I want to see them heel now because his brother's just so annoying. You know what I mean? By proxy, it's gonna make Nemeth annoying as well. You know what I mean? So he has to turn heel.
Yeah, and not to mention, later on in the match, Ryan gave Joe Hendry a thumb to the eye. So Ryan Nemeth acting like such a big heel, but Nick Nemeth not. So interesting dynamic here. But I do think this is a slow burn of a heel turn that's going to occur at TNA Genesis. And once again, Joe Hendry's going to get screwed out of a title. And I'm okay with that as long as Nick Nemeth finally turns heel.
Yeah, because like I keep saying as well, like the TNA show, I would think the live show will have more eyes than the pay-per-view. Just because for whatever it's TV versus having to buy the show. But most people, I would say, unless you have the app. So I just think crowning Joe Hendry on that show is a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm. So Joe Hendry pins Ryan Nemeth with the standing ovation, and Joe Hendry and Rhino are victorious. This is This is Rhino's final match with TNA, and he's victorious. I'm really glad it was Joe Hendry that got the pin here, because Joe Hendry obviously needs the momentum heading into his match with Nick Nemeth. And Rhino getting victory, he's riding off into the sunset with a victory.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way, and Ryan Nemeth taking the pin was the only option, so.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, I thought this was a great show. I'm really liking the build to TNA Genesis. We'll talk more about Nick Nemeth's heel turn next week when we get into predictions. But do you have any final comments as we get ready to sign off?
Well, actually, two. One, always watch TNA, of course. And two, shout out to I haven't always been the biggest fan, but shout out to CM Punk. I don't know if anybody saw, but at the end of his match on Monday night, he said he dedicated that match to Chris Bay. So I don't know if people caught that. I thought that was really sweet. I don't know, that really got me. You know what I mean? So, I thought that was really, really cool of CM Punk to do that.
Terrence saying, y'all stay safe and pray for y'all in LA. Thank you. Bert's not in LA, but I am. So thank you so much for that.
Definitely.
Yes, but how can I forget? Frankie Kazarian was on commentary for this match, and he stood up the minute that he thought Rhino was gonna go Nick Nemeth.
Dude, yeah, I like him and Tom. I mean, him and Ray Wall are just such bros out there. And like, when Susie walks up there, he wishes Ray Wall a happy New Year. He's like, I hope your year sucked. Like, I hope your year. It's just so funny. And then him and Hannafan and Kazarian just going back and forth. This is gold.
Eric saying, hey guys, Genesis is starting to look real good. Oh yeah, it definitely is. We're excited. We can't wait. Next week is the Go Home Show, and Bert and I are obviously going to be covering the Go Home Show, and we're going to be doing predictions, so make sure you guys tune in for that next week. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever we go live or whenever Body Slam goes live. And we'll see you guys next week for the Go Home Show to TNA Genesis. Bye.